Hi, I'm Ken Quattrin with Two Rivers Habitat for Humanity with another installment of HabitChat. We're joined by Bridget Bednar from Family Promise here in Rochester. Before we start the interview, we have a connection. You used to work for Habitat.
That's right. I did. Yes, I did.
And how long did you work for Habitat?
I was with Habitat just short of 6 years in Freeborn, Mower counties.
So it's nice to have that connection before we even start the interview that you used to work for Habitat.
Sure did. Yep. And I still have a heart for Habitat. So.
And we thank you for that.
Yeah.
Because I know you've been talking with some of your clients about some opportunities that we have that maybe your clients could benefit from.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Family Promise Rochester. When did it all start and what's your mission?
Yeah, so our mission is to basically, in a nutshell, serve families who are experiencing homelessness through case management and shelter services. So Family Promise started, some 20 years ago here in Rochester, and we affiliated with Family Promise when some concerned citizens in the Rochester area and some members from various churches wanted to see what they could do to help families experiencing homelessness. And so it began as Interfaith Hospitality Network. And it was comprised of a group of churches, church leaders who thought, we have space in our church, we can provide that space for people to sleep.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And so that was what we did for 20 years is we operated by providing sleeping space for families at these various churches. So we had, a network of about 40 partner churches, 10 of which provided the actual space for the families to sleep. The other churches, we called them buddy churches. They provided volunteers and things like that. So the families would go there in the evening, have a meal, play games, visit, and then have a place to sleep. And that's how it went for about 20 years. And then the pandemic came, and obviously churches were shuttered, and we suddenly were in a flux, not knowing what to do with these families. Family homelessness is, there's a lot of need. They are the number one most prominent homeless population is families. So we can't ignore that. And so, but we couldn't, it's not sustainable to put them in hotels and things like that we had to pay for. So we had to rethink our model, and that brought us to where we are at today, which is we now own our own, it's a big home, 5-bedroom home, and that's our North Star House shelter. And we opened that in February of 21.
Yeah, homelessness is a big issue here in Rochester. I mean, not a lot of people shine the light on that issue and that concern in our community, but it's organizations like yours, it's organizations like ours that help people get out of that generational poverty too,
Exactly.
right?
Yep, exactly. And that's what I love, Habitat. I loved the mission when I was with Habitat, still do. And when I went to Family Promise, it was important to me to continue along helping people in a similar capacity, people who, need that hand up. And that really means a lot to me. Family homelessness, it's in Rochester alone, the schools in 2019 had identified over 400 kiddos in school who were experiencing homelessness.
Yep.
We have a constant waiting list, 18, 19 families all the time on our waiting list to get in shelter. There's just a lot of need. And then it's great when, like you mentioned, we can serve a family, get a family, help them get stabilized, and then eventually make the referral over to you guys so they can move on to the next step in their journey.
Next level that
Next
they just
level.
desperately
Yep.
need is that
Yep.
chance, that opportunity.
Exactly.
And showing that they want to put the work into doing it because,
Yep.
working for Habitat, still there's those people think we just give these homes away
Right.
for free. No, they actually
Right.
put 200 minimums of sweat equity hours into the home, and they're
Yep.
given a mortgage, a more affordable mortgage.
Right.
When I was on your website, I saw an amazing statistic that 88% of the people that you guys serve within 9 weeks, you're able to find housing.
Yeah.
That is a staggering number considering how
Mm-hmm.
the housing situation in Southeast Minnesota, affordable housing is not even a touch point. It's just affordable housing is so difficult and such a big topic here in town. That is an amazing conversion rate.
It is. It's great. And we, in 2021, we had a 100% success rate. So 100% of the families who had come into shelter we're able to find stable housing. We have a fantastic
amazing.
case manager who works her tail off to make sure she doesn't want to leave. It's like no family left behind. She wants to see that they have that success. And our families, it's like similar to the Habitat mission. They don't come to us if they're not ready to work, if they're not ready to go after those goals, if they're not ready to improve their lives, improve the lives for their kids, and get into that stable housing and provide that, much needed stability for their family. So it's a very similar mission. It's just we're this first step, and then you guys are next step.
Yep. So besides housing, I saw on your website that you guys have other services that you provide. Could you let our viewers know?
Yeah, absolutely. So we just, I'm excited. We just received the United Way grant for housing stability, and that grant will be for a new program that we actually are just launching, and it's shelter diversion and shelter prevention. In essence, those programs it's one program, two names, so it's a little bit confusing, but in essence, that program exists to help families who are either on the verge of homelessness, so they have a place to live, they have an apartment, but maybe they're facing eviction for one reason or another. What can we do to help prevent that eviction from ever happening? And the second piece of that, if the eviction has already happened, is there something we can do to help them skip the shelter experience? Because shelter is a traumatic experience, especially for kids. It's just known. And so if we can help them skip shelter altogether and just get into an apartment, we want to do that. And that might mean, so we can help in various ways, rent assistance, utility back payments. It might be a car is broken down and that's why they can't get to work. So can we help with that car repair so they can get to work,
And that's just one of those things that you just don't see coming. The washing machine breaking down or the car breaking down, these expenses that they really can't afford anyway.
Exactly.
Then it just keeps piling up. It's great to know there's a resource like you guys to help these people out.
Yeah, and we always say, all of us, we're one step away from something happening that would put our families in a situation very similar. And so is there something we can do to help prevent that homelessness from occurring or resolve it quickly? We also do life skills classes. So twice a month, we provide classes for both our current shelter families as well as any of our families who have graduated from the Family Promise Shelter Program. And they come in. Pre-COVID, we would provide a meal, and so everybody would have a meal together, which they all love because there's a lot of camaraderie. These are all families with shared experience. And so they get together, share a meal, and then we have classes provided for them on various topics. It could be budgeting, it could be resiliency,
just life classes.
Yeah, life
class. How to balance everything.
Yep, and we call it life skills. And that's been a great success. We hear a lot of positive feedback from the families about that and from the volunteers that are involved with it. So that's another great program that we provide.
That's fantastic. So before we wrap things up, is there one story that just tugs on your heart every day that gets you out of bed to do your job?
Well, there's so many of those.
I know. Same thing here. But there's always that one story that just keeps you going, even if it's been a bad day. You know what? We're helping people. And there's that one story.
Yeah, sure. We had a family, and they were one of the first families that I worked with in this role. And they were a family who was escaping some domestic violence type situation and actually had come here from Mexico. And if you're aware of anything that goes on there, there's a book I read, American Dirt, and it talks about somebody's escape from the cartel but basically the things that they have to go through to get out. And similar story for this family, and she was a single mom with 3 kids and just worked so hard. I've never seen any family work as hard as this family worked to make it right, and she continues to do so. And that is, we hear homelessness, and I feel like people sometimes just get like a jaded feeling. And it was great for me to work with that family right away because it really told me the story of family homelessness and the problem it is, but also that the people that are in it are normal, regular people who are
Yeah.
just working hard.
Yeah.
So
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Bridget.
yeah,
Again, Family Promise Rochester, right here in town. Great opportunity for folks that are kind of struggling, trying to get their lives back together again. And it's just nice to know that there's that resource here in town.
yes,
And we appreciate the partnership and the friendship that we've had through the Habitat connection.
yeah.
So thank you
Very
so much
much.
for joining us
Yeah.
today. We'll have another HabitChat coming up very soon. Thanks for watching.